Hello everybody, how are you guys? A beautiful, bright, sunny day here in Southern California, and we're going to take the opportunity to create another video in our series on Long Beach. And this video is going to be the worst art galleries in town. So if you're into art, you're going to want to avoid these galleries. All right. And the number one is the Wheel Bearing Gallery of Art. So the Wheel Bearing Gallery of Art is focused on one thing: wheel bearings. Now here's the thing, here's the caveat. If you're into wheel bearings, if your house looks like a wheel bearing, if you have utensils in the drawer with wheel bearings, if your major in college was a bachelor's in wheel bearings and you went on to get a master's degree in wheel bearings, if your shoes have wheel bearings in them, then this may be the art gallery for you. But for most of us, our interest in wheel bearings is about as deep as our interest in the latest goings on of the Kardashians. I can't think of a day that has gone by where I go, I wonder what Kim is doing right now. I wonder what Kim Ye are doing. Are they at the beach? It just doesn't happen, guys. It just doesn't happen. Now again, art is very subjective, so maybe it's for you. Maybe you're gonna go down there and get so excited about the wheel bearing art gallery, you're gonna want to start the festival of wheel bearings, including the annual wheel bearing parade, and issue hats that look like wheel bearings, issue t-shirts that say "bear with me" and it has a picture of wheel bearings. I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that for me, the Museum of Wheel Bearings has about as much interest. I would say 27 seconds would be my outside estimate on how long I could last in there. I'd walk in there, and it's right downtown. I'd walk in there and look around and go, yep, and walk out. See? So I paid respects. I gave it a shot, but honestly, I probably would spend more time in the Kim Ye Museum, right? If Kim Ye came out with a museum and had still photographs of their lives, I might give that a go, because I'd say it's either this or the Gallery of Wheel Bearings, the Museum of Wheel Bearings. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So that's number one. We're going to do 3 of them in here of the worst art galleries in Long Beach. Always with the caveat that for you it might be the best. But nonetheless, the Museum of Real Estate Signs. Now guys, you got to live somewhere. And at a certain point, you're making enough money that you can afford a house. You've cleaned up the credit. You've somehow gotten rid of that Vegas trip that you put on your card 10 years ago that somehow you weren't able to pay once the end of the month came. And that $10,000 bill of those 2 days in Vegas, which included a very ill-advised run at the the poker tables, where all of a sudden you thought you were in Rounders, the movie Rounders, and that you were John Leguizamo. No, you found out you weren't. And you know what's funny about casinos? They want their money. But so does Visa, and after you charged your gambling debts to your Visa, well, Visa came calling at the end of the month, as they do. As is their right, as is their custom, as is their legal obligation. And guess who couldn't pay it? That was you. That was you because you were young and dumb, and look at you now. You've cleaned it all up and you're looking at buying a house. Well, listen, how are you going to find out about these homes? I understand the need for real estate signs. I get it. Somebody's got to drive around in a minivan and pull them out of the back and set them up on Saturday morning for the open house. I get it. I understand capitalism and salesmanship. I get it. But do we have to have a museum of real estate signs? How much variety, how much depth in their displays will there be over the years? Now, maybe they have some historical real estate signs. You know what those are going to say? They're going to say things like for sale. They're going to say things like open house. And that might have been from 1941, 1936, 1927. Okay? And what do they say now? They say for sale. They say open house. Oh, the graphics are a little bit better. They've got maybe a picture of the real estate salesperson on there smiling. And it says something like, when you're ready for a home and not a house, call Jim. Call Sally. You know, and there's Jim and Sally selling real estate, making big money. They've got some pretty high thread count sheets at home, guys. So you know you're talking to some people with a little cash flow. But again, does any of what I'm describing garner the need for a museum of real estate signs? I doubt it. So I am going to avoid that, even though it's right there downtown and easily accessible to anybody that is visiting Long Beach. So again, with the caveat, if you are into it, if you love real estate, or you are in fact a real estate salesperson or related to one, this might be of interest to you. And I would venture to say, if you are any of the above, you're probably so sick of working 80 hours a week, just so you can haul down 250 grand a year. The last thing you want to see is a museum of real estate signs. Guys, and finally, number 3 on our list of the worst art galleries, the worst art galleries in Long Beach. Let me just make this turn, guys. Is the Museum of Drive-Through Car Wash Spinny Brushes. Now, we've all gone through that drive-through car wash occasionally. Even though they told you in the car magazines it's not the best car, it's not best for your paint. It's not the way to treat a vehicle that you care about going through the drive-through car wash. The soaps are very, they're very strong. They're really made for stripping paint. Okay, off of homes. So the brushes, they are best used for if you have to take a couple of layers off of your kid when they go out and they roll around in the mud and then they lay in the sun and it gets baked onto their body. They've got 1.5 inches of caked on mud and dirt. Well, if you have that spinny brush at home, that big brush that comes up alongside the car, then you could put the kid up against the brush, kind of like those little brushes that you shine your shoes with. They spin around. And that could be the kid cleaner. The kid cleaner, see, that's a practical use. But the point of it is, for your car, the car finish is very delicate, guys. You can't just I don't care if it's brand new. I don't care if they laid down enamel on top of your car. It's just too hard on the car to, on a regular basis, if you're doing it on a regular basis, you know what your car is saying? It's saying, look, I'm doing my job. I'm taking you all over this town. I'm taking you to work. I'm taking the kids to the soccer. I'm taking you and the hubby on that one date night that you're able to handle once a month, you would do it more, but you realize you don't even really like each other anymore. But I don't care. That's what your car's saying. I don't care. I handle it. I listen to you guys talk about the most boring details of your lives with a hint of blame. There's always a hint of blame in each of your comments to each other. Now, I'm not making the judgment call. I'm not making a judgment because, hey, I'm a car. And I realize relationships are difficult, especially something as close as a marriage that, the person is probably the most important person in your life other than your dog. Okay, so that's what your car is saying. Your car is saying, hey, I do my job. Why are you whipping me with these very, very kind of coarse brushes that they have at the car wash? And God forbid you go through a car wash that's connected to a gas station. I mean, at least go to an independent car wash where they're going to dry it off when it's done. If you're just going through a gas station car wash at Joe Bob's gas and wash, and you're just letting it drip dry and you're getting those spots all over your car, well, what are you up to? I mean, I'm really questioning your strategies in life. So that's why I have a real problem with the gallery of car wash spinny brushes. Because all they've got in is those brushes that go up against the side of your car in that drive-through car wash. All right, and on the one on the windshield. They spin around. Yes, they have those kind of towel-like snakes that shake back and forth and they drag over the top of your car. I don't know what they're doing other than just spreading dirt and dragging it like a sandpaper across your finish. But that's a different art gallery. This gallery just has the spinny brushes, the ones that spin around. Not the back and forth brushy ones like a toothbrush. We're talking about the spinny ones that spin around. Okay? On the side of the car and over the top, basically. And sometimes they go around behind and wash the butt of your car. So this art gallery is dedicated to displaying and showing the historical context of those spinny brushes, guys. Now look, I don't know about you or what you do with your life or how you spend your time, but I'm older than you probably. And I can tell you that life is long, but at the same time, it's short. And don't get me to explain that on Twitter because I can't. It's just one of those yin-yang questions of life that are hard to explain, almost impossible to explain. It's long, but it's short. And one of the most valuable things in your life right now is time. And do you really have the time to go down to the gallery of car wash spinny brushes? I doubt it. I doubt it. Now you think you do. If you're under 35, I'll bet you think you have time. I mean, you have the time, but I'm saying, do you have the time would you want to spend that time? If you only had $1 million to last between now and the rest of your life, would you spend that money on going to the gallery of car wash spinny brushes? No, you wouldn't. Well, think of your time the same way. Not only that, once you go through gallery 1 of the gallery of car wash spinny brushes, once you go through gallery 1, room 1, where it says the beginning, and they show how in 1920, 1930, Harold J. Spinney from New Philadelphia, Ohio, came up with the idea of the car wash spinny brush because he was wearing his Western jacket with the fringe, and his kids were joking around with him and hosed him down in the front lawn. And then his wife came out and wanted to do some practice of their new square dance steps, and he brushed up against their car, and he was all wet. And then the soap got spilled onto him at the same time, and he cleaned his car by square dancing next to his car. with his kids hosing him down and his wife spinning him around, and a new industry was born. Okay, that's very interesting. That is very interesting. But after that, rooms 2 through 10 of the gallery, of the art gallery, are just duller than your cousin who can't quite seem to graduate from 3rd grade, and he's 47 years old. Okay? So I don't know how to explain it any clearer than that, guys. And, it's the third of our three. Oh, third of our three. Speaking of doll, I can't count. Of the worst art galleries in Long Beach, California.